Welcome everyone. My name is Fred Herron. I'm the Director of Public Safety for Bensalem. We have a very exciting initiative that's starting today, and we really think here in Bucks County, I'm going to introduce everybody in a few minutes, that this is going to be a change in law enforcement, not only in Bucks County, across the Commonwealth and across this great nation of ours. You're starting to see what we're going to talk about popping up all over the country. There's no doubt in my mind that the Bensalem, the Bucks County model, will be replicated throughout the United States once we get this program up and running and we show some amazing success. But before I start, I want to introduce the folks that are up here today. We have our District Attorney, Matthew Weintraub, who will be speaking. County Commissioner, or Chair of the Commissioners, Diane Marseglia. Vice Chair, Bob Harvey. County Commissioner, Gene DiGirolamo. Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo. Next to the Mayor, we have Donna Duffy for mental health here in Bucks County. Rachel Neff, she's our Director of Human Services. Amy Carlson, who's also with Human Services. And then we have I'll be introducing them in a few minutes, our two co-responders, Walter Byam and Rachel Augusto, our two co-responders that were just recently hired. So with that said, let me just begin, and I'd like to start with some interesting statistics that I've researched over the last couple of weeks, speaking on a variety of issues regarding police reform and other type of things that we've been experiencing. You know, you call us and you hear 5 words: 911, where's your emergency? And that's it. After those 5 words, information is given to the dispatcher, and then whatever day of the week it is, whatever holiday, whatever the weather condition is, whatever your affiliation is, whatever your socioeconomic status is, whatever race you are, whatever gender you are, we come. We ask no questions. Within 3 to 5 minutes, all across this nation, police respond without asking any other question but those 5 words. And we respond not to what I started responding to in 1987 when I started here in Bensalem 33 years ago, but it has changed, it has evolved, it's become more complex. It's just not your traditional criminal justice response, your crime response. We respond to drug addiction, which has been plaguing this nation. We respond to homelessness. We respond to hoarding complaints, elderly issues, children issues, family issues, neighbor issues, and of course mental health issues, which unfortunately continues to grow and grow and grow. And as we see the incidences evolving all over the country regarding police and use of force, the question is asked not at that particular time, is not when we should ask the question, why did the police do this or that? It's, why were the police called? Why weren't these people being helped? Because we hear over and over again all the mental health issues that many of these folks have had. And that stops today here in Bensalem, that we're not going to experience that type of problem here in Bensalem. We've been very ahead of many situations and would continue to stay on that. Let me give you some quick statistics. There are about 700,000 police officers in the United States that respond to 53 to 63 million citizen contacts a year. That's a lot of citizen contacts. And mental health continues to be one of our major responses. Now, it didn't happen in 2020, in 2019. Ben Franklin figured this out back in 1751. Ben Franklin urged the government at that time that mental health is a problem. Here in Pennsylvania, in the province, right here in the Philadelphia region, Ben Franklin realized in 1751 that people with disorders of their senses need help, and that we as a government must do something to help these people. And that continued for years. Franklin, they did some stuff, but here we are in 2020 and we're faced with mental health again. Studies have shown that people with serious mental illness who commit major crimes once released from jails, their rate of rearrest is 40 to 60%, with approximately 1 out of 5 of these being a new major crime offense. That is huge. What I also found very interesting is that in 1955 in Pennsylvania, we had 41,000 psychiatric beds for a population of 10.9 million. 1955, 41,000 psychiatric beds. In 2016, that number was just over 1,000, with a population of 12.8 million people in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 2016. Now, certainly, you all know, and we all know, that the psychiatric and mental health issues have not decreased. If anything, they've increased over the years. But we have so much less treatment and bed facilities as a Commonwealth. And where does that what does that affect to dollars and cents? What does it do? It costs us. Homelessness, communities spend between $27,000 and $100,000 a year for a chronically homeless individual. Criminalization. A prisoner with mental illness costs between $30,000 and $50,000 a year for a total of $800 million in this country a year. Law enforcement calls for mental health is that of 356,000 people with calls for people with serious mental illness that we put in jail each year. That's over today. Our co-responders that are started on Monday and are going to be hitting the street in the next couple of days, Walter and Rachel are going to put an end to that. They're going to be working with side by side in law enforcement. This has been paid for by the Bucks County for a 2-year pilot. I'm sure Commissioner Marseglia is going to talk about that in a few minutes. But it's seed money here in Bensalem, and I know out of any municipality in Bensalem, at any municipality in Bucks County, this is going to take off in Bensalem and going to be successful. And they're going to be responding along the side of police. They're going to be working out of our police station and responding to 911 calls along with police or moments after, not hours after, not days after, not weeks after, moments after, to get people the help they need in all those categories I talked about, because that is key. The goal is here is to keep people out of the criminal justice system that don't need to be there, to get people help that they desperately need, because in the United States of America, people shouldn't be homeless. People shouldn't be suffering from mental health without treatment in this great country. And these folks, I know I'm putting a lot on you right now, but it's going to happen. I know it. I can feel it. It's going to happen because we're doing it here in Bucks County. And this is going to be a great program not only in Bensalem, better than that, not only in Bucks County, but I can tell you right now, the Commonwealth and the rest of the nation is going to look to us. How did you make it work in Bensalem? And we're going to certainly share that with the world. And we're excited to have them start and get this going. And the cops are excited. And the police officers are excited. So we're looking forward to this. Without further ado, Chair of our County Commissioners, Diane Marseglia.
Thanks. I'm not sure I could say anything much more than what Fred just shared with all of you, but I will say that at a time when we are absolutely laser focused on COVID, we often forget that we are going to go back to more normal days. And that means we are going to have to respond to a community that has physical illness needs, emotional illness needs, and substance abuse illness needs. These co-responders are probably the most significant thing we can do to keeping our community safe and healthy and to keeping our police safe and healthy into the future. Hiring these co-responders as a county, we believe we are allowing police officers to go and do what they were trained to do: law enforcement and community protection. The issues of mental illness, substance abuse, hoarding, child abuse, these are the issues that the co-responders have been trained to do. Social work. I was mentored by a social worker in the late 70s, early 80s who worked for the Trenton Police Department. And it was an amazing thing to see this person embedded at a police department and how they coexisted. I have been thinking about that and wanting to replicate that ever since. So this pilot opportunity with the county was perfect to be able to marry with Bensalem and to make sure we can show that this can work and then hopefully pass it on. You know, in the past year, we've been watching, I guess, 3 major issues. The election is over. Hopefully, COVID will be over. And the other issue we've been dealing with is issue of police reform. And it's been very upsetting to me every time I have heard these people say things about defunding police, because the truth is we need to refund the police. They need to not only have police officers in the correct tools, but they need co-responders as one of the tools in that tool belt. And as I said, probably the most significant thing we can do, and this may be my proudest moment as a commissioner and a social worker in Bucks County.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Bensalem. This is my hometown, and last year about this time when I was trying to make a decision about whether to run for county commissioner or not, I was a member of the state legislature. One of the things that pushed me in that direction is when I looked at the county budget, and it was very obvious to me that 3/4 of the county budget deals with human service funding. And that's important to me. And it should be important that every family, not only here in Bucks County, but across the state of Pennsylvania. Because what is human services? What does human services take up? It is drug and alcohol. It is mental health. It is also people with all kinds of disabilities and problems, autism, intellectual disabilities, every kind of disability you can imagine. And sooner or later, my friends, every family in Bucks County and in Pennsylvania is going to need help with human services. And we have an amazing human services department here in Bucks County. And I want to thank Donna and Rachel and Amy, the three of you, for being here today, and thank you for the great work that you do. And this is just a terrific idea and a great partnership. And as our Director of Public Safety, Fred Harron, just said, this is something that everybody's going to look up. Once it gets up and running, and they're going to want to do something similar to what Bensalem's doing in their police department, not only here in Bucks County, but I think in Pennsylvania and beyond the state of Pennsylvania. This is just a terrific idea because every family needs help with human services. So I want to thank my fellow commissioners. The county is paying for this. It's a pilot program, a 2-year pilot program. I want to thank Rachel and Walt for starting the work that you're going to do. And it is so, so important, this work. It really is. Because when people need help and are in crisis, they need people there that's going to support them. And you're going to be able to do that. So it's a great partnership between the police and the county here in Bucks County. And I want to thank Matt Weintraub, our district attorney, also for being a big part of this, and Mayor DiGirolamo also, and the 5 members of Bensalem Council here who are also been a big part of putting this all together. So thank you all for being here, and God bless.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you. Fred mentioned, Director Haran mentioned Ben Franklin, and this program really kind of goes right to the heart of another more famous quote by him, which was, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." Too much of our police work has been focused more on the back half of policing, or the cure part of it. What we're doing today is launching a bigger effort to focus on the prevention. The statistics are pretty high for the number of interactions between police officers across the country that end up making the news for unfortunate reasons, and how many of those interactions are with someone who is suffering from mental health breakdown or some kind of substance abuse disorder. We see it across the country. And for our police officers, as well trained as they are, as experienced as they are, as dedicated as they are to serving the public, we expect them to be experts in everything, and no one can be an expert on everything. And so what they really need is help, especially in the areas of expertise when it comes to mental health and substance abuse. And so this program, as you've heard, is really, we hope, a model for the county, for the Commonwealth, for the country. By having Walter and Rachel join this team, they're going to be the pioneers who are going to be able to train future co-responders for other communities that want to do this. And hopefully, they're going to be, making the relationship between the police department here in Bensalem and its public even better than it already is. It is a good relationship. And we want to make sure that it stays that way. We want to make sure that they're providing the services that everybody needs. And so we thank you for being here and for helping us publicize this. Thanks to our staff, all the work they put into it. Commissioner Marseglia, this is something that she has been wanting to do for a very, very long time. And now she finally gets a chance to do it, and I'm proud to be able to support her in that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo from Bensalem.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bensalem. Glad to have you here on a pilot program. First of all, let me thank the commissioners for allowing us to have this here in Bensalem first. We try to be always first in Bensalem and try to accomplish all these things. What I see this as the opposite of what's going around the country is defunding the police. We go the other way. Our police are the most important part of our community, along with our fire and our EMS. And we have to make sure that we support them in every way we can. And we give them all the tools that they need, the training and tools, and we make sure that I've done it for 27 years that I've been here. The police, safety and welfare of our community is the most important thing we can do. And this is in addition to how we can accomplish those things with the mental health and the other problems that are out there, that we can have people help our police and work on that. So we're delighted to have this program start here, and as our director said in the beginning, I think this will spread all over. People are going to want to do this. It's important. Years ago, we had a person in our township police department that worked on some of these problems on domestics and mental health. We haven't had the luxury of that for a while. So we look forward to this. We look forward to a program that's going to, we know it's going to work. It's not a matter of that. And welcome then to our community for working with our police department. And you'll soon find that we have one of the best in the whole country. And we look forward, and I'll be seeing you here. So God bless you in your new endeavors in helping us. So again, thank you, commissioners, for all you did to make this work, and we appreciate it very much. God bless everybody.
And last, and certainly not least, our District Attorney, Matt Weintraub.
Thank you, Director. We were having our meeting this morning. It was kind of like a pep talk. We've been meeting, I guess, for about 6 months now to come to this wonderful day. And it really struck me, people try to always put things in a neat little box and put a label on that box. And I think this defies the traditional labels that you always hear, whether it's this is a progressive program, or this is the product of defunding the police, this is what that looks like. It's none of those things. What this is if you boil it down to the essence, every call that comes into 911 has a human being at the other end of it. This program is humanity-based. And one of the things, I love many things about Bucks County, but one of the things that I love the most is we really don't worry about the labels that are associated with each other. When one of us has an idea, we pick up the phone, we call the other ones, and we see if we can make it happen. Frankly, I'd love to take credit for this because it's a wonderful program, but I can't. Frankly, I read an article about a program like this in Harrisburg, in Dauphin County, and I called up my colleague there, Franciardo, and he told me a little bit about the pilot program. I see you nodding your head. He's like, yeah, we have a pilot program. And I said, we should really try this. So I read a newspaper article. I contact Director Harron. He's like, yeah, I want to do this. We're already having meetings about this. I contact Diane Marseglius. She's like, I've been wanting to do this for years. So it felt a little bit like the Little Rascals. Hey, let's go all get together and put on a show. And the next thing you know, you have all these wonderful resources together. Donna Duffy Bell happened to have $200,000 extra laying around somewhere that we could use for this pilot program. And here we are. I just believe that if through sheer force of will and the efforts of good people that are all united on the same side of an issue, and in this case, the humanity of things, great things can be accomplished for our community. This was a light bulb moment to me. The one thing that I hold true and dear is something that Director Harron said, and that is anytime anybody picks up the phone and dials those 3 numbers, 911, they are given a guarantee. It's a social compact. It's a bond that our police and first responders will be there to answer the call. And the goal, as you can imagine, but I'll say it, in any 911 call is for everybody, whether you're at the receiving end or you're at the traveling end of that 911 call, is for everybody to be and remain and to go home safe and alive. We already have a robust crisis intervention training program where 50% of our officers are already trained throughout the county. But the goal, of course, is to have 100%. And we can improve on even that. And that, I think, is the vision of a program like this. That is the vision when we get together with all the chiefs of police throughout the county and come up with the best practices for use of force. This is a pattern, this is a trend, this is a movement, and this is based in humanity. It's because we care about the people that we protect and serve and are sworn to do so every day. To me, if you all could put me out of a job because we didn't have to prosecute criminals anymore, I promise you I would go do something else. I think this is a wonderful way to divert people from the criminal justice system when they need mental health treatment or drug and alcohol treatment or some other kind of crisis intervention. Not every police encounter has to result in an arrest or, God forbid, even worse. And thanks to this new county pilot program in partnership with Bensalem and through the goodwill of the people you see arrayed behind me, people are going to get the exact services they need. That is our commitment. And what's the byproduct of this all? Our police, first responders, who are called for all of these calls, can then get back out there on the road, continue to protect us, continue to respond to emergencies, continue to investigate crime, and keep us safe. This program, frankly, is a win-win for everyone. Walter and Rachel, it was great to meet you this morning. I'm very excited. Hopefully this will be your only 5 minutes of fame. I'm grateful and excited to see what you can bring to bear on a much-needed service. And I do expect, not just hope, I do expect, because of the commitment of people that are arrayed here, that this program will be a tremendous success and will be expanded eventually countywide, because where there's a will, there's a way, and we're all on the same side of this one. Those are my remarks. I have the, I guess, the pleasure of asking if anybody has any questions, and you can direct them to anybody that you've heard speak here. Bo?
Yeah, I know you said you don't want to put a label on this. The last 6 months, in June, that was kind of the height of all the social unrest, to defund the police movement. We've been mentioning that this is kind of this is a cornerstone of kind of what that wanted to do. So how much did the police reform, the social unrest, defund the police, whatever you want to call it, how much did that play into this decision today and this pilot program?
It's fair to say, Bo, that the minute you think you have all the answers, you're not doing your job well. So certainly I would say that all of the unrest that has occurred made the light bulb go off for me. I read an article about a similar program. I'm very grateful to say there will be no defunding of any police as a result of this program. These are additional funds that are going to be apportioned so that the police and our co-responders can work in conjunction with each other. And that's really what our expectations are.
Just to piggyback on that, because, you know, when this program was thought of, when I watch the news and I see these incidences, whether it be a George Floyd or a William Wallace or any of the ones that are happening around the country, and I see people attack a profession that I've been doing for 33 years. It's my second real job in an adult world. And then I hear the next day, well, they had all these problems. The family had these problems. And we have to respond. And then what happens at that 911 call sometimes is out of our control. So when we thought about this, people need to get the help prior to that crisis moment where they're coming at you with a knife, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. And that's what this program is designed to do. You know, here in Bensalem, you know, and in Bucks County, we have the Bensalem, now the Bucks County Police Assisting in Recovery, that we started back in 2017 as an answer to the drug issue. Because we know that we can't arrest our way out of problems. We can't arrest people for problems that they're having because of human services, not because of human service organization, their own human services issues within internally. That arrest is not the answer. So this is created to make sure that the frontline workers can work instantaneously with that 911 call. So now you get these folks who will be responding with police to get them into the folks that are the experts, and that you won't have a Wallace or a Floyd or a Gardner or any of these other instances that happen around the country, because frankly, I'm sick of them. I'm sick of what's happening, and I'm sick of the bad rap that law enforcement's getting, and a lot of these folks need help. And the co-responders are going to be a thing of the future. I think Commissioner Marseglia said it best. It's to refund and refund and put more money into these things. Because police will never stop responding to 911 calls. As the DA said, if you could put me out of business, I'll go work somewhere else. That's okay. That's a great line. It's true. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So I think your question was good, but I just wanted to make sure that that's why this was born.
When someone calls and you're alerted to this, what then happens? What triggers someone to say, hey, I think this is a mental health issue, so it doesn't hit that? What's going to happen in this initiative?
So I'm going to tell you that they've been doing training right now in the county. Their furniture's coming in tomorrow. They have a list of 14, not a list, they have a file of 14 different folks just in Bensalem right now. Just in the last 2-3 weeks that we've been compiling of people that chronically call 911 that are traditionally not a law enforcement response. But we have no choice. We must go out. So what's going to happen is their safety is my priority one. Priority one is the safety of these two individuals. So law enforcement will respond. If it's a fresh call of name we haven't heard before, law enforcement will respond. They'll secure the scene, make sure that there's no threat to these folks. They might be pre-staged, what we do already with EMS. This isn't rocket science, nothing new. And then they'll be coming into the scene a minute or two later. They will have police radios. In some cases, they'll have access. Well, they will have access. In some cases, they'll have vests at their disposal, bulletproof vests at their disposal. And they will come in when they and law enforcement feel comfortable. Law enforcement will leave, and they will totally take over. There might be an instance where law enforcement could just go wait outside for 5-10 minutes while they do their thing in the specialization that they have, and law enforcement then takes off. So their safety is paramount. They're going to be responding sometimes minutes or seconds behind law enforcement.
You know, they're at their wits' end. You find that the holiday time is going to have a more increase for this?
Well, holiday season always increases mental health, alcohol, drugs. We see it, you know, from Thanksgiving to New Year's traditionally is our, COVID throws a monkey wrench into the works here. But holiday time is traditionally busy in mental health, family disturbances, things of that nature. So from Thanksgiving, from that Wednesday night on till New Year's is always a busy season.
You mentioned training for the social workers. Are police being trained as well for how to work with them appropriately and effectively?
So as the DA had commented, you know, we have many of our officers in Bensalem that are crisis intervention trained. We are now, once they hit the street, they're hitting the street technically with us. They're in a training session right now. They'll be on the street the 14th of this month, so it's in a week or so. And then they'll be meeting with all the officers at roll call training. Lieutenant Dave Richardson, our commander of investigations, he's going to be overseeing the program directly. We have some staff assigned to them to help them. We have a secretary assigned to them. And they'll be meeting with every officer and every squad. This is a program the cops are thirsty for. Because, you know, my second week on the job in 1987, I came across a subject behind one of the motels that was suffering from a mental health issue, and I had just, back then the police academy was 10 weeks only, now it's 6 months. I'm very old. And they didn't, I'm like, oh my God, they didn't train me for any of this in the police academy. They trained me on things I could have learned on the job, but they didn't train me for any of this. So every officer's going to meet with them, and they're going to work hand in hand. I will say that the officers now are getting a lot of on-the-street training because mental health is an everyday problem for us. But we don't have the resources because we're 911 driven. We have to respond. You know, it's not like, you know, we can just like call, well, you can. I don't like to do it as a chief. I know the mayor's not going to be happy with it. I don't like the calls backing up. So we're 911 driven, you know, and they're going to take that burden off of us.
And just to follow up, just 2 social workers, obviously that's not a lot of social workers. What percentage of the calls do you think they're going to be able to go on? What's the extent that this project is going to be used?
So they're going to, when they're not working, they're going to be doing follow-up the next day when they come in on the calls from the shift before. So obviously, if you do the math, they're not 24/7, right? It's not rocket science. The hope is this is going to be part of this. This is going to be the staple of law enforcement in the future to come. I don't know, you know, what next year or the year after is going to bring. This isn't going away. Unless someone comes out with a magic pill to cure all the problems we have, which is not going to happen, this is not going to go away. This is only going to grow, and it's going to be a necessary tool like any other tool we have in law enforcement.
Fred, you mentioned how they making it safe for them to respond, but when they're on scene, how do you balance their safety, but also backing off so that there's not the threat of the, or not threat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, yeah. So, a lot of praying, no. We're going to, at first, side on caution. You know, some calls, the officers have a good feel. It's hard to explain, and it's very hard to articulate sometimes, but the officers know sometimes when, okay, something's not right here. And we've already explained this to Rachel and Walter. You know, it was part of the interview process, that if an officer says, I'm not leaving, he or she knows there's a reason why they're not leaving. Because if the cop's gonna wanna get out of there and let them do their magic. Let them do what they've been trained to do. But if there's something that a police officer feels something at this scene is not right, they're going to stay on location because their safety is my number one priority. Number one priority is the safety of the officers, these folks, and the people that we're responding to, as the DA said. We respond to human beings. Everybody's got a family. Everybody, you know, we respond to human beings. We're not in Mars here. And I got to make sure they're safe. So I don't know if that's the answer. If that answers your question, it's going to be a lot of learning on the go, but we will stay on location. They have police radios. They have, I can't tell you enough, and I know, you know, the county commissioners and the elected officials, and I know sometimes they don't get coverage. Things work here in Bucks County and in Bensalem because of the folks behind me. Because if they say, not so much interested in this, these three commissioners put up radios at $7,000 a pop. Now you think that's not a big deal, but try to come up with $14,000 at the end of the year. It's not that easy, especially in Bensalem. We didn't have that budgeted. Commissioners like, yeah, we got it. We got this covered. They didn't bat an eye. And that's how, if you have elected officials that, I want to cut here, that's when people get hurt. That's when you start to defund, you start to get people hurt. And that's not going to happen in Bucks County because we have the support of these folks. And our human services, how many police agencies in this country meet and talk with their human services director, you know, and have each other's cell phone numbers and contact each other when there's an issue? I guarantee you not a lot of local police chiefs have access to the director of human services in their county. I would bet that number is very low.
Hey Fred, what happens if somebody calls because they're having a crisis, they've lost their job? Are these guys able to help them get employment or something like that, or are they just...
We're doing the gamut. They've met with the Opportunity Council already. These folks have thought, I'm not the expert here. They're the experts. You know, Rachel's team, Ms. Neff's team has thought all this, and that's what they've been doing for these couple of weeks. And the Opportunity Council in Bucks County, which helps people put food on the table, which helps people in the COVID time put rent on the table. Yeah, the whole gamut. They're meeting with our school district social workers next week. We think we've thought of everything, but as we keep going, we're going to think of more.
Do the social workers feel comfortable getting up and just talking to us about feel comfortable doing that? I don't want to, if you do, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, let's check with them.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any bilingual support?
Well, I don't think they have but we have in Bensalem we have Spanish-speaking officers, 3 dialects of Hindi, Arabic, Spanish. I think I said that, and I think there's something. I think we have Russian. And I think Polish. We call them now. That's not new to us. We've been doing that for years. Plus, we have language line the county supplies, so we have all that.
All right, so we're gonna make an executive call here. I think that both of the co-responders are willing to speak to you. I would just ask that you be very kind. This is a brand-new program. We're still working out a lot of the kinks, so we may not know the answers to many of the questions. But which brave soul would like to come
Both
first?
come on out.
All right, come on.
Say it and spell it.
Yeah, last name.
Bynum. B-Y-N-U-M. Walter. B-Y-N-U-M.
Okay.
Rachel.
Rachel Augusto, A-G-O-S-T-O. P-O. Rachel?
First off, can you guys just tell us, I mean, how are you guys feeling about this program? This is what you guys do, this is the whole thing. How do you two feel going in?
Well, I'm coming from crisis, so I know that there's a need for mental health, and especially when it comes to calling 911, because they aren't always trained in how to respond. They want to respond to the emergency. So I'm really excited to be a part of this and bridge the gap between 911 calls and social services.
Piggyback off Rich, I mean, I feel the same way. I think that we're at a time now where a lot of is being, pressed on police officers and their interactions with people in the community. So we're just here to take some of that weight off the police officer so that we can make sure that everyone goes home safely.
Speak to me about how you kind of go about doing something when you deal with a situation, as you mentioned, of Walter Wallace. And that was surely an extreme situation, but how do you diffuse that situation? Where do you guys come in?
So I think it's going to be learning as we go. This is new for everybody. But in a situation like that, it's going to be safety first in that situation, and then de-escalating in the best possible way. You don't really have a map for how to do that until you're out there, because every situation is different. And when it comes to a crisis call like that, you have to rely on each other. So I think us relying on the police and vice versa is going to make a big impact there.
Where does some of your training differ, though, from what police have gone through, and the fact that you learn that extra level of help?
So I'm trained in mental health crisis. So I think when it comes to de-escalating, there might be a little more to that as far as calming the individual down, so that maybe weapons aren't coming out right away on both sides. So I think, again, it's going to be learning as we go.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure when you guys have seen, whether it's that case or the George Floyd or any of these cases that have gotten out of hand, for someone who does this professionally, has had to be extra tough, because you guys probably know that if the right resources were available, might not have come to that. So just, can you guys kind of express maybe the difference you think you'll make so we don't see as many of those images, or maybe one of those images can never make it to television because you guys were able to be there and prevent it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, working in this field for the last 20 years, I probably have seen majority of the incidents that we see on a regular basis where we're able to verbally de-escalate based on relationships, right? So I think a lot of times what happens is, with this pilot program, we're not only responding to calls, but we're actually building relationships with everyone we're coming in contact with so that these incidents don't happen. Because if they do call 911, now when we respond, we can say, okay, well, Miss Mary, let's work it out, and the cops can leave. I mean, I think that the best thing that we can do is build relationships so that these incidents can decrease.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys
Thank you.
coming in.